We are at that point in the season that if you've got Bermuda grass, you have already A, scalped, 2, not scalped, or D, you are just about to scalp. But today we're going to talk about an alternative to scalping that I got asked about in a question a little over a week ago. And yeah, you know what I'm saying. We're talking about burning that Bermuda down to the ground. Well, hey, yeah, that's the topic today. Burning your Bermuda grass. Should you? Shouldn't you? Is it safe? Is it not? Is it beneficial? Is it not? All that jazz. And I've got some good information that I think you will find useful. And if you do, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate your support of Budget Lawns. I could not do this without you. And here's what that question read. Think you could do a video talking about burning your Bermuda? A lot of people here in New Mexico do it. Just curious on your thoughts. And I want to read you my reply. Because after I sent it, I thought to myself, was that the right answer? And from what I could gather through just a simple Google search, I actually think it was. Here's what I said. I say scalp the old-fashioned way and forget about burning. I don't get the whole burning thing. And we'll never do it. I mean, I get it, but I think it's entirely going way overboard. Not to mention the risk involved. Once you have seen a fire out of control on a lawn like I have, you don't want to again appreciate you. Yes, I have seen a fire out of control on a Bermuda lawn once before, and I never want to experience that again. Let me set this up for you. I was a senior in high school. We had just won the indoor state championship in track and field, back to back, baby. And I was going out for a recovery run the next day. This was on a Sunday. And I was only going for about 4 or 5 miles, so it shouldn't have been gone any more than half an hour, 35 minutes. And I lived on a golf course back in my hometown, right on 3 green and 4 tee box. 4 tee box was a sharp downhill par 3. I ran down that par 3 and made a right-hand turn to go up hole 5, a pretty short par 4, just a little over 300 yards. And as I got down to the bottom of hole 4, I noticed one of the nearby neighbors was out burning in her back lawn. We'll call her Jane Doe. But Jane was out burning in her back lawn, and I thought, man, Jane doesn't look like she has complete control over that. She looked like she was trying to burn some leaves. So I thought to myself, I'm going to keep a close eye on Jane as I run up hole 5 towards the green. By the time I got to the green and turned around, it was already far out of control. So I took her off running down hole 5 as fast as I could. And when I got to her, I said, Jane, where's a water hose? Where's a water hose? There was only one little water hose, and it was all the way up the hill. She was at the bottom of her lawn, and it was all the way up the hill on the house, and it was a really, really short one. And I've got a next door neighbor's Bermuda dormant lawn to my left, and just an empty, dry lot to my right. And this fire is roaring up this hillside. So I just grabbed that water hose and I was just going in a semicircle, just trying to keep it from getting to that empty lot and to the yard next door. And then it was like word had traveled across the golf course that Jane Doe's lawn was on fire, and a cavalry of golf carts came rushing over the hill to save us. They got everything they could off their golf carts, from ice chests to trash cans on the tee box. And fortunately, there was a pond there. And they dipped everything they could into the water and filled it up and helped me put it out. By this point, that whole backyard is black, almost to the house. And I am covered in soot. And I walk my way back up to the house, and my mom sees me walk in the back door, and she says, what on earth has happened to you? And I said, just come here. Just come here. So we went out and stood on hole 4 tee box and looked down the hill, and all she could see was a black lawn from bottom to top, from a fire that got way out of control. And fortunately, we were able to put it out. But that is the first and only time I want to do that. So after I answered that question, I said, look, this has kind of become kind of a trendy thing to do in lawn care. Perhaps it's a gimmicky thing for some folks online creating YouTube videos. It's great content. It's eye-catching. Certainly people want to watch it. But they also kind of want to know, is it worth it? Is it safe? Is it dangerous? Is it beneficial or not? All these things, and I thought, you know what? Let's answer some of those questions. So I did a quick Google search, and I came across something really interesting, and this is actually from the Canadian Department of Natural Resources and Renewables. It is dispelling some common myths about grass burning. It says, to many people, grass burning is a tradition, almost like a rite of spring. Upon closer examination, however, the reasons for spring grass burning are largely unfounded, and rather than being beneficial, grass burning is destructive and dangerous. Maybe you've already got your answer. But let's read some of these myths. The first one, spring grass burning controls weeds. That's a myth. The fact is, the weeds deposited their seeds into the surrounding soil last fall, and burning creates an ideal bare soil bed for the seeds to germinate. Makes sense, right? That's why I always say don't scalp your lawn too early and open it up, because then you give those weeds a better chance to germinate and come up through. Even if you did put down a pre-emergent, sometimes you get some breakthrough. So burning does not control weeds. How about this one? Spring burning improves the new grass crop. The fact is, burning actually reduces grass yield 50 to 70%. Ooh. Another myth, burning makes the new grass come in greener. Fact says the new grass will be the same color whether burning took place or not. It just appears greener due to the contrast against the bare, blackened ground. That kind of reminds me of like the folks that say when they shave their face that it comes back darker and thicker than it was before they shaved. It sounds like the same thing here with grass, that it actually brings in new crop and comes back much greener. I've actually seen that in people's comments of some of these burning videos out there that my grass has never been greener before. My grass has never been thicker before. And I thought, man, that sounds like the old adage that if you shave your face, it comes back fuller and darker. That does not sound like it is the case. Now, if you're a turf grass professional or an agronomist out there, correct me if I'm wrong. I am just going off of what the Canadian Department of Natural Resources and Renewables says. Yeah, it's not going to come back greener, not going to come back thicker. Here's another one. Myth says, I don't see much wildlife around here, so I can burn grass without threatening any animals. Well, fact is, burning destroys the habitat of species you don't normally see, such as mice and voles, as well as the nests of eggs and certain other birds. If the fire gets out of control, larger animals can be caught by the flames, and many species will lose a habitat. And I know some of you might be saying, well, I got moles and voles. This sounds pretty good to me. I can't get rid of them little suckers. Well, I guess if you want to burn them to death and cremate them, you could. But, overall, it seems like you'd be getting rid of some of the beneficial animals and critters in your lawn. Here's another one. The lost habitat will grow back in a few months and the wildlife will return. It's no big deal, bro. Well, the fact says it may take several years to replace what was lost. The vegetation is often multi-layered with higher growth protecting undergrowth. Different species depend on different layers for food or shelter. Loss of the lower layer and its residents will impact species that prey upon those lost species. So it's kind of like a trickle-down effect, right? You kill those towards the top, and then the ones below can't get to their grub, and then, they starve to death. But, you smoke them down if that's what you want to do. All right, last one. Myth says spring burning is the easiest way to get rid of last year's vegetation. Yeah, the fact says it's easy perhaps, but not good for the soil. Burning results in most of the old plant's nutrients going up in smoke or remaining in ash that is washed away. Burning also releases CO2 into the atmosphere. Plowing old plants under or allowing them to decompose allows carbon and fertilizing elements to go back into the soil. Now, this last one is kind of one where I hear mixed things, that sometimes burning can actually introduce beneficial nutrients into the soil, where this isn't exactly saying that, but correct me if I'm wrong there, or if the Canadian Department of Natural Resources and Renewables is wrong. But I get the whole burning. I've heard both sides of the story. Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's so much easier than scalping. It's a less miserable job. Yeah, it's tough and kind of got to take it slow and safely, but it really is awesome. And then other people like me will say, what's the point? I'm just going to scalp the old-fashioned way. Drop the mower deck as low as it'll go, bag the clippings, and dump them. I mean, it's really that simple. But if you want to point out a positive that I did come across for burning your lawn, it will help remove a lot of that thatch layer if you've got a thick one. So if you're trying to scalp and remove thatch all at the same time, perhaps that's a good idea. But if you ask me, I don't want to see my lawn go up in smoke. I've been there before, and I don't want to go down that road ever again. All right, my friends, that's going to do it for this episode of Budget Lawns. I sure appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you next time.